One of the things I talk about a lot in my consulting work is the relationship between the two terms sawubona and sikona. Sawubona means I see you, sikona means I am here. And the two of those together in relationship mean before you saw me, I did not exist. It's a big deal for me to make sure that I am in fellowship with people, because I know that when I see people, when I truly see them, I can call them into existence, not in a creator kind of way, but in a relationship kind of way. If I see you, then I can tap into who you authentically are, whether they're your highs or your lows. I want to be able to let you know that I recognize your presence, and I'm not rendering you invisible because you're important enough to be seen. That said, I'm going to be doing some prayer and reflection on distraction and on the notion of ignoring people. Sometimes we give that as a tip for folks on how to cope in difficult situations, to either ignore people or ignore things. But if the idea of the principle of relationship is to see and to be seen so you can bring people into existence and into relationship, what has to happen for it to get so egregious that the only way that we can survive having healthy relationship with ourselves is to render someone invisible and non-existent? So I don't have the answer to that question, but what I do have is a grace that God's given me to be able to get still enough to just pray and meditate on it. So today, this week, my work, my reflection work, my healing work is going to be on the two-sided idea of distraction and ignoring. How, if you get distracted, do you manage that in a way to not render something as non-existent or invisible, but to be able to create healthy enough boundaries to know how to work around that distraction so that you can stay focused on your purposed work. So maybe next week I'll have an answer for you, but I wanted to put that thought out there, not just I'm going to be doing that work, but for you too. How do you cope with being distracted so that you can stay focused? And if your distraction is people, if you're being distracted by people in your life, regardless of how that distraction shows up, how are you managing that? And has your answer been in the past to ignore them? And what does that call into the relationship between the people that we might ignore, the phone call we don't answer, the text message that we don't return, when our kids are talking and we kind of, yeah. When we're doing that to people, what do we set in motion in them that ends up exacerbating whatever that is that makes them then return that pattern of behavior to other people? Can't be healthy, right? And one of the things I'm trying to do in 2018 is continuing on unhealthy things. I'm seeing things in myself that I'm like, I need to fix that, and I don't want that to continue in my kids or in any of my relationships. So today, this week, the focus for me, for my reflection, my prayer, my meditation, and my journaling is going to be on distractions, and it's going to be on ignoring people versus healthy boundaries to make sure that I'm protecting myself, I'm keeping myself safe, you have what you need to be safe, but I'm making sure that in the process, I don't render you non-existent. How can you exist, but how can I keep myself safe? Let's think about that this week.